Welcome to the Urban Fantasy Track. And how many of you have never been to anything on this track before?
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
How many of you are here because for the first time ever, Jared Padalecki is here this year?
Wow.
So, just thought I would, there might be some correlation to the first time. Okay. So what we're going to do tonight, how many of you came to any of our other Supernatural Showdown panels in the past? Okay. So once we ran out of seasons, I thought, we did it for 3 years, right? So, what's that? We did the first 5 1 year, and then the second 5, and it worked out really nicely for me. So, in terms of, it's not an even number, but the correct number divisible by 5. So it's good. So I thought, well, what could I do this year that would be a fun competition thing for a Thursday night? I thought, hey, why not? So that is what we're going to do tonight. Before we get started, I do want to give a very brief mention of the fact that we do the charity drive. We do the competition between our different fandoms that we cover on the track. And if you were planning to make a donation to the Arthritis Foundation and you would like to vote for Supernatural, there's a little container over there that you can put a donation in if you so choose. If, of course, Supernatural isn't your favorite and you want to vote for, say, Buffy, you could do that too. I'm just saying, the main thing is the donation. The competition is it's supposed to be good fun. Okay, so briefly, I'm going to have each one of my panelists introduce themselves. They will tell you who they are, and then they will tell you who they are defending. The way it's going to work is they're going to have 4 minutes that they are going to spend telling you why their character was so essential to the show. Okay? Then each one of them is going to get their 4 minutes to do that after we start. Then you guys will get 4 minutes to have your own little discussion back and forth. We'll get your thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next one. At the very end, and I am going to time it. I do have. And at the very end, we are going to have you vote. I will count, and my able assistant will help me count the number of hands that are up. You are going to vote for who you think made the best defense. Not necessarily that it was your favorite character, but who did the best job defending their person, okay? And we will do it by, I'll ask the person and then you raise your hand. So that is how we're going to do it. First up, Gail, introduce yourself really fast.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Gail Z. Martin, and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance, but all my modern worlds are ones Sam and Dean can walk into and feel right at home. I'm also the con-runner for Continual, the online ongoing multi-genre convention that never ends. And I've been down the rabbit hole for Supernatural since season 11.
I just kind of laugh whenever she says rabbit hole, because trust me, that thing is deep. It's more like some kind of mole that has gotten all the way through to the other side. Okay, Michael.
Hey guys, my name is Michael Collins. I am a theory prognosticator and dad joke aficionado for the Fandom Hybrid podcast. We are a pop culture and convention life podcast. We do a whole lot of things. Ironically enough, last year, this is my second year doing panels at DragonCon. Last year, this panel was my first ever panel at DragonCon. So
There's a reason he's back this year.
How about that?
Yeah, I think you probably can pull it a little closer. Yeah.
Right.
It'll get to a point where you won't be able to pull it any further, and you'll know.
Hi, my name is Hanako Riggs. I'm the creator and the host of the Fandom Hybrid podcast, along with Michael. This is my, I think, 6th year on the Urban Fantasy track as a panelist. And I'm defending Crowley.
Oh, I didn't mention you out.
Okay, tell the people.
I'm defending the ultimate winner, Castiel. So.
And I'm defending Bobby.
Oh my God. Oh.
Can I ask, are these what they picked or they were given?
We were assigned.
I did a drawing.
Okay.
Yes.
I did a drawing. They had no
Okay,
control
good to know.
over who
Okay.
they got. And none of them offered to kill me afterwards. So,
Oh, that's good.
I had thoughts.
uh,
I had thoughts after my assignment.
Oh.
My name is Vince Thompson, and I'm defending Jack.
Okay.
So that I'm not the only person up here without a podcast. I do have a podcast. It's called Remodel Cafe. It's nothing about science fiction or fantasy. It's about being a general contractor, because that's what I do in real life. But I am an aspiring author. My first book is in the editing stage right now. It's called, thank you. It's called Tales from the Tennessee Hills. And it's 12 short stories based on local East Tennessee myths and legends, things like that. I took the premise and wrote my own fiction story around the premise.
That's cool.
Hey y'all, I'm Beth Dolgner. I do not have a podcast. I write paranormal cozy mysteries and romantic urban fantasy. Shameless plug, I have a reading tomorrow at 2:30 in the Hyatt. I'm going to be telling true and fictional ghost stories, so right up your alley if you're a Supernatural fan, which I would assume all of you are. I am going to be defending Mary Winchester tonight.
Oh.
I think this is my best chance of winning ever.
no game chance.
Hey, I'm Marx Pyle. I'm a podcaster. We're a genre table. We interview creators.
taking
over.
One of us. One.
I'm also a filmmaker and, of course, an author. And I founded Cabot Crossing Publishing, where we publish different, right now, mainly anthologies of different genres. We just did a Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter about fairy tales, folklore, and fables reimagined. We're in late pledges right now, but we did fully fund, which was really exciting. And yeah, so I'm defending Rowena.
I do notice the only one who got any kind of was Mary. So, but Beth, I think it can handle it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's like condolences.
Yeah.
she does. Okay, all right, Gail, tell us why Bobby was essential to the show. You have the stuff that I was saying, right? So, okay. All right, go.
So Bobby built the panic room in a spare weekend. How cool is that? He hunted with Rufus. He is also named after one of the executive producers of the show, who also has a character named after him in The Boys. It's just kind of a running joke. He's one of 3 characters who was in every season, plus the Winchesters. And the character of Bobby overcame an abusive father to become arguably a better father to Sam and Dean than John. I think a lot of us can make that case for John Winchester's A+ parenting.
Okay, you notice he's not one of the characters.
Right. He tried to give Sam and Dean glimpses of a normal childhood despite John. So John would tell them to work on their, target practice, and he would take them out to throw baseball. He taught Sam and Dean to make a devil's trap, something that John somehow forgot to teach them. He was a genius with the lore and gathering that information and keeping the hunter's library. He gives them shelter over and over again during the biggest crises of their life, and he helps them through. He repairs the cult. He and Ellen close the Devil's Gate. He speaks Japanese, which is, how cool is that? He stands up to Dean over Sam and the demon blood and tells Dean that he is too much like John, and helps him convince Dean to reconcile with Sam when Sam kind of goes off the rails there for a while. He had to kill his wife twice, once because she was a demon possessed and once because she was a zombie. And that, of course, caused a real issue. I mean, that was a big scar for him. He was one of the reasons that Sam did not say yes to Lucifer for a long time. And he sold his soul to help get back the 4th ring. And, of course, we had those wonderful bromance moments with Crowley. Crowley keeps his end and gives back Bobby's mobility, and there are river dance jokes. He outsmarts Crowley to break his deal, and then threatens to burn Crowley's bones. So, Bobby does not necessarily play fair. He forgives Sam for trying to kill him while soulless, because, soulless Sam did a bunch of stuff. He and Jody discover how to stop the Leviathans with borax, and he stays with the boys after his death via haunting the flask. Then he asked Sam and Dean to burn the flask, and because he doesn't want to remain vengeful. He was saved from hell by Sam in Taxi Driver, and he escapes heaven to help Sam and Cash free Metatron from heaven's prison because the Bobbies are surly. And he's there in heaven to greet Dean in Carry On and tell him that Sam will be along in a while. He helps Dean kill the Akrita in the Winchesters. He's the leader of a rebel colony in the Apocalypse world and has a relationship there with A.U. Mary. I don't make mistakes. And Jim Beaver, bonus point, learned to do tricks in his wheelchair when he was, Bobby in the wheelchair, and his college roommate taught him to do wheelchair tricks. So there you go.
Okay.
I guess wheelies and spinning out, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jen. Okay, so shall we discuss? What do you guys think? How was Bobby special? For you, how was he special?
Bobby is, you're saying the father figure that they never had, but was always the one that kept them grounded, kept Dean grounded, would pull them back to reality, fidgets, and it just, really kept them in that place that, kids need to kind of be pulled back
Right.
to when they're, off acting.
Okay.
I also want to point out, most of the characters here are superhuman or supernatural in some way
Right.
or whatever. Bobby did all of this just being a guy, just being a man,
As I recall, Beth down here, who sadly did not get to defend Bobby, she loves that episode, that season 6 episode, The Weekend at Bobby's.
Yes.
Yeah, she said sometimes if she's feeling kind of low, she just watches that.
Yeah.
And it always brings you out of it.
And Bobby wasn't just for the boys. He was everybody's
Everybody's
fan in the chair,
go-to.
Yes, right here.
Also, Bobby is the kind of guy who will treat you with yes, but also be there when you fall down and keep getting back up.
Helps you, cleans off your skinned knees, right? Yes, right here.
Also, when Bobby tragically died, it took like 3 people to do this.
Yeah. Poor Garth.
Yeah, Earth did try, we gotta give it. Anybody else got a comment? You've still got like a minute and a half. Yes.
Bobby was the heart of the show.
Ah, okay.
He had some of the best lines.
He did.
And I do wonder,
Family don't end in blood. That
right,
was Bobby.
and that, saying that does make me think that that's probably why it hit us all so hard when he died. And it was like, surely not,
Yeah.
surely not, but they did.
Built invincible.
Yeah, it's like, that was terrible. Did we have, yes, right?
I know. Like me so much, I would walk around and just call people fidgets.
Yeah. Bobby was all
If you don't do that, are you really a supernatural fan?
Exactly. Exactly.
One word to close on Bobby, just balls.
Yeah, it just. But he was one of 3 characters who was in every season and the Winchesters.
Yeah.
The only other 2 were Sam and Dean. So, despite dying, not that ever stops anybody in this.
Yeah, I told you about what my husband said to me. When he would go, back when he was still working, he would get up really early, and if I was watching Supernatural, because, it's coming on this track, yeah, and he would see what I was watching, so he never watched it with me, but he would recognize what I was watching. And he said, well, have fun with your dead people. I was like, okay, he knows enough about the show to know that that's going on. We have anybody else who wants to say anything about how Bobby was wonderful? Yes.
What I really like about it is got 2 grown brothers. They're out, they're doing their thing. Always feel like they need somebody to call. Need that parent, they call up. And it's not like they call them every day. It's not like, but they know they can.
Well, and not just depend on them, but that was a home for them. A home too. They didn't have any other home. Like they had the bunker and all that, but that was home to them in their hearts.
True. But I did like the bunker. Yeah.
Hunger is
So,
hard.
anybody else? We're gonna move on to the, okay, yes.
Sometimes if you have a show that has a lot of fantastical elements, it's kind of nice to have a character who's not filled with wonder, but instead is kind of frustrated and irritated by all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right, you're right. It kind of helps it remain in this world, you know, because of what we're seeing. All right, we are going on to our next character. Michael is going to tell us why Kaz was essential to the show.
All right, so this
Type it in.
can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So this is everybody here knows that Cass is your favorite seraph. He is. And when you think about Cass, you cannot help but think about Sam and Dean because you see pictures of them together everywhere. Even in real life and in the show, they're inseparable. And the fact that he's one of those lovable characters. Like you've seen the shows where an alien comes down and he's trying to figure out how to get along in Earth and uses the wrong words all the time. Cass is that character. He's a lovable character where he can watch porn and you say and as he asks why, he says it was there. Like literally wondering why the pizza man was spanking the babysitter. Apparently that she did something wrong. And his lack of an understanding of sarcasm and a sense of humor when he was trying to figure out the joke, why did 687? He'd say it was because it was a prime number and prime numbers are very intimidating. He had no, and these are the moments that really endear you to him. I mean, and for being totally honest, at the end of season 3 thought that, after Dean got taken by the Hellhound, was like, is he coming back? Like there was a moment there where people were like, "Are they canceling the show? Like how? What the hell's going on?" Then next thing you know, here comes Cass in arguably one of the best entrances of a character in the show's history. Like just badassery all over them, lipos busting, just knocking people out, and then calmly just looking at Dean saying, "We need to talk." Just badassery all over the place. Some of the things that he also did, I mean, he sacrificed himself and let Lucifer take him over to try to stop the darkness. I mean, most other characters have been fighting the whole series and tried not to let that happen, and he actually sacrifices himself to allow that. He has done so many sacrifices in this show. I mean, when he sold his soul to purgatory in one of the last episodes, and he finally let himself be happy to be taken to purgatory to save Jack. I think my mind scrambles. I'm sorry. So he has done so much to endear everybody to him that to me he's one of the more lovable characters. And I was going to do my first cosplay as him, but for some reason they don't sell trench coats in summertime, or you get put on a list. I have no idea what that's about.
What kind of list is that?
I mean, what else do I have? Honestly, I mean, I don't really know. I feel like I was given a lob, because he really is one of the more lovable characters. Who else can get away with calling somebody an ass butt and then burning their soul? and how many times have y'all called somebody an ass butt in here? A ton, right? Like that's one of the along with Idjit, ass butt is one of the main things that fans call other people when they piss them off from this show. So you know it, and I know it, that Agent Beyonce, God's Chosen, Castiel is the very best character. I mean, and I don't think I know what else to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Let's put Michael on here. Okay, now it's your turn. Who else? What do you guys love about Cass? Yes.
Like you were saying about, he doesn't know anything about the world, and he trusts Sam and Dean almost implicitly. And I think that helps Sam and Dean, because here's this great angelic being, but he trusts them. You know? He wasn't even supposed to be on the show. Cass's character wasn't even supposed to be on the show.
Right.
And he made so much of an impact that he ended up being a essentially the third person on the show. So just, I can't imagine the show without Cass. I wouldn't have liked it as much without it.
And he was also human for a while. I forgot to put that in. And Dean called him a baby in a trench coat and hurt his feelings. The poor guy. I mean, you just for sympathy alone, you should give that to him.
And who else can drink a whole liquor store?
A whole liquor store, the whole floor.
Right here.
This isn't exactly relevant to the show, more so to real life. I do appreciate how essential he is to breaking international news on Tumblr.
Yeah, he does have, he's an interesting guy, that's for sure. Yes.
Just like when he comes in season 3, come home and cry for the show, it's such a different thing after he gets there to look at the Warriors there. And then later, like post, like I guess the first 5 seasons, his art from like 6 to like 9 is one of the most interesting things about it, like him trying to be God and sucking at it, and horrible, being like horrible at it, and kind of paying the price for it. I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, right here.
Who else can feel that many people love that, right?
Yeah.
He's our favorite.
Well, Dean.
Somehow I'm thinking we won't see that on the shirt anytime soon, but maybe someone in this audience will say, hey, Kaz, the cereal. Yes.
How after he realizes what tried his best to try and be there, and
Don't get Gail started on Claire, but we're not here to talk about it. That's just a side note, well, yeah. She might speak to me later. Yes, Ricky.
Serious, but because he's so serious, the person that he is, it makes it so funny.
Yeah.
And him and Dean's relationship, it's just absolutely hilarious. Where there's one scene where he's talking about how Cass is always up his butt, and then
He's right there.
And he literally says,
Yes,
"Get up my ass."
Yeah.
It was never. It's just all around hilarious, even though he's trying.
He's kind of reminds me of Amelia Bedelia. That's a lot of those scenes are like that. Yes.
It's 2 parts related. Like one character where you see the evolution, because he limited being humanize him, watch his growth throughout the progress of the show. Like that's one of the things that I really like. There's not many other characters have that character development of trying to learn what it is. And like the second part I like is where me is like one of his co-liners that would ask him, it's like I'm the one, the hand that grew out of burger.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love that line. Like that was sort of like who am I? Yeah, that's why.
We got time for one more comment. Somebody we haven't heard from. Yes. Ricky.
I know there was a spot where he was supposed to disappear, and he had to like fall flat on the floor.
Oops. That's like a little kid saying, well, if I close my eyes, they can't see me. Yeah. That's my brother used to think. Okay. All right. And next up, we have Hanako with Crowley. Go.
Crowley. What can we say about Crowley? I think one of the important things about Crowley is that with the subject matter of what Dean and Sam deal with, he brings a lot of humor. He brings a lot of levity, even though that's something you wouldn't expect from his character, being the king of hell and all that. But one of the things about Crowley that he is good at doing is deflecting a situation or de-escalating a situation. You know, you'll have all of these high stress, my mind just went blank. I'm so sorry. High tension. Yes, thank you. High tension moments. And just with a witty one-liner or even a stupid one-liner or just the look of his face, he can kind of bring the tension down to where Dean and Sam can say, okay, look, this is what we need to do. Let's go do it. The other thing with Crowley is, I think for him being a demon, he brings a lot of humanity to the Winchesters. And it's in different ways. Crowley is one of those people who, when we first meet him, he's very callous, he's very cold, he's very much the king of hell, and what he says goes. But as we get to learn his character and the things happen to his character, the more he's exposed to the Winchesters, which the Winchesters kind of have that effect on a lot of the quote unquote villains that they encounter. But we get to see a little bit more humanity from Crowley. And I think, in a sense, that also affects the way that Dean and Sam look at the villains or look at the evil things that they have to deal with. We see Crowley as this cold person, but we see how very clearly he was affected by the rejection from his mother. We also see a Crowley who very much cares about what happened to his son when we learn he has a son. The lengths that he goes through to save Sam and Dean over and over and over and over again, all the while pretending like he doesn't care about them, I think also is a huge, it's a huge thing for Sam and Dean, because when they have situations where they have to make decisions on whether or not to kill a monster or to kill something, this is something that they can look at and say, oh, maybe we should rethink this, because there have been times when Crowley has saved their ass. And if they continued on that kind of straight and narrow as far as their mindset with the monsters, they wouldn't do that. And then also, let's not forget the ultimate sacrifice. Like, Crowley died to save their mother, to try to help the boys do what they needed to do in order to save the world. You can't be evil and do something like that. And, you know, as much as we joke about people who don't stay dead on this show, unfortunately, he was one that did make the ultimate sacrifice, and I think the boys were better off for it.
Okay. All right, what about you guys? Why do you like Crowley or love Crowley? And if you don't like it, I personally don't want to hear it. I'm just kidding, but yeah, he was one of my favorites. Yes.
Touched on the part, the fact that he came out so cold that you saw him grow so much and humanity. My second one is the accent.
That Crowley voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Over here. No. Can you stand up though? Because people over there might not be able to hear you. There you go.
The fact that, I don't remember which season it was in, but when he had the marker of pain, and the fact that he crossed his heart because he was scared of it.
Oh, yeah. You want to get that thing out of here. Don't put that too close to me. Yes.
Sidebar, my husband and Dark Shepherd are you can help me remember the name, from the same exact area in London, and they stood talking in, signature row for like 20 minutes, and I was just fascinated, like, listening to them talk. Keep going, this is great.
I bet you wish you had recorded some of it.
Yeah.
Anybody else got a Crowley comment? Right here and then back here, right here.
One thing I like about Crowley is that he's vicious and let that out. Because one thing, when he starts his Crossroads demon, King of the Crossroads, that he, even though he helps Sam and Dean, it's always to his benefit.
Right.
Or at least most of the time it's to his benefit.
Except for the last one, yeah.
Except for the last one. Until he becomes King of Hell. And that was his ultimate goal. And of course he got bored with it, but still. That shows just how ambitious of a character he is.
Okay. Then we had somebody else over here. Over here. That's right. Okay.
There is an episode
Or
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll take that. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got a Crowley comment? Yes. And then we'll go over here. Ray, you had your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
The genius idea of making hell a DMV, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And his relationship with the hellhounds, just Juliet, just perfect.
Well, I had a flash of that earlier when somebody was like, I think Sam and Dean were talking to each other, or else it was Sam and Kaz. I'm sure Gail could remember. And Dean says, yeah, he says, Crowley, yeah, he hated this place. Or maybe it was when he was still alive and he said he hates this place. Okay, over here we had some comments.
That's our delivery system.
Yeah.
I don't think that character would have worked if it was for Mark Shepard. Like,
Yeah, no.
there's something about the way that he delivers his lines and just his whole demeanor, his whole persona is just like he literally can make or break a character.
Right here.
Yeah, I think on that point, he's probably got the two best lines in the whole thing. First one when he says, come on, Dee, take a walk outside and take a hell of that move. To me, it's still one of the great lines. The second one, when they're fighting over the market game, and he says, and he takes out, but he just says, yeah, you're good, but I'm Crowley.
No, you didn't lack in confidence. Yes, Shannon.
It takes a very unique individual to make Crowley. Mark Shepard, a man who's a little baby in the middle of a panel.
Yes!
And walk around is the kind of person you want to play manipulative.
Yeah.
Right. And she knows of what she speaks because he did do that literally in a panel.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, and Vince, you're up next, and we're going to hear all about Jack, and go.
All right, Jack. What can we say about Jack? One of the shorter story arcs in the whole series, but Sam and Dean obviously are the protagonists of Supernatural. But I think a strong case can be made for Jack. We know he's the Nephilim son of Lucifer, as one of the show's most pivotal characters. He was introduced to us in season 13 while he was still unborn. And even before he burst onto the scene, he was already making waves. His mother was recording the video for him. She was showering him with motherly love that really crafted his character and crafted him as a person as he evolved throughout the rest of the show. No other character has a story arc like him. Nobody. The video, I referenced that before, the video that she made for him was so pivotal, I think, to his development as he was wrestling with the good versus the evil side of him. He was half human, half the son of Lucifer. I mean, how much more extreme can you get there? The demonic influence from Lucifer, the big bad, the devil, and just a common, everyday, ordinary person. He struggled with that good versus evil his whole life. Some big points, some big episodes for him. I think the very first episode, season 13, episode 1, Sam was the first person to see Jack after he was born. You picture, Sam ran into the room after his mother had given birth, and he just sees this naked kid crouching in the corner with these glowing eyes. And Sam immediately had empathy for him. So, I think as far as impacting other characters, Jack brought out that big brother instinct in Sam. And, there was the other brother, the third brother. We won't talk a whole lot about him. But Jack
Well, the
gave...
show seemed to agree, but anyway.
Exactly. But he turned into that little brother thing for Sam, an opportunity for Sam to understand more about Dean, I think. Dean and Jack didn't get along at first. They didn't like each other. Dean didn't trust him. But over the course of the show, Jack was important enough and powerful enough that he won Dean over. And Dean ended up looking after him just as much as he did Sam. I think he brought a new definition of family to the Winchesters. Cass was part of their family. We can argue that. But I think Jack had a whole different level of familiarity to the brothers than even Cass did. Power. Jack had immense, crazy power, and he struggled to control it. Again, that whole back and forth between good versus evil. When Jack was protecting the brothers and he accidentally killed somebody, think about how deeply that moved him as a character. Nature versus nurture. Which one is it? Or is it a little bit of both? He was the son of Lucifer. His nature, half evil, half ultimate evil, we could say. Nurture, Mary, his mother, loving him before he was born. Going back to that video again, recording that video for him. He showed us that constant struggle versus nature versus nurture, good versus evil. Sam and Dean, they're the emotional anchors of the show. We can agree on that. But Jack, I think, embodies a lot of the show's core themes of family, legacy, fight against darkness we all have inside of us. And his presence even forces Sam and Dean to evolve, I would say, beyond their characters we saw from season 1 through season 13 and through the end of the show.
That's our time. That's our time.
Okay.
Thank you, Vince. Give him a hand. Okay, what about you guys? What about your thoughts on why Jack is important? I mean, aside from the fact that he became God, but yeah, okay.
Didn't get there.
I kind of like that because, like, detective.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that the son of Lucifer that became God in his head was kind of like ultimate like middle finger, and I kind of love that. Like, I like the hope, I like the thing.
He seemed as though he was actually going to do a pretty good job. Too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Jack a lot because going to season 13, I was like, oh my God, Lucifer's son, what the hell are we going to experience here? And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not really, this isn't going to be good. And then he just kept surprising me until he grew on me and became one of my favorite characters. Like everything that you expected him to be. Because Kelly gave so much to him and Cass really helped, just grew into this gentle, kind, sweet soul that we just grew to love.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Watching him grow past and watching him lose past, having him grow close to Sam and like having to find new sort of latch onto and like heart-wrenching. So he was like he looked a lot older. He was still trying to be a literal child. Watching every single person or like parent figure that I had to die or like something happened to him, and having to continue to like be played by an adult actor, but this is still a literal child.
Okay, we have another hand on this side. Yes.
Like a child that started like there's so much room for I don't know. I scares me a little that what if he's
But at least with Jack, if he does that, he's doing it by mistake. Whereas Chuck was doing stuff on purpose just because he could. So Jack scares me a little less on that.
Okay. Yeah, Gail, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you've ever seen Alex Calvert's beauty shots, professional head pictures, and then you see how he portrayed Jack, they did some real magic there to turn him into a cinnamon roll. Because he's, he looks much more badass in his regular headshots, but Jack is just such a cinnamon roll.
Yes. Yeah. Well, did anybody see him the years he was here?
Yes.
Did anybody go to the panels? Yeah. He was a nice guy. Yes.
Like Vince mentioned, that new kind of familial relationship that Jack kind of brings to the show, not only as like a little brother to Sam, who we've always seen as the little brother,
right,
but the character arc that we see with him being unborn, with Kelly being pregnant, we all had almost like a parental arc to feel for him. Like he's not only this little brother, but he's also like the kid. He's the baby. He's everyone's kid, you know. And it brought like that new sort of, all the parental figures we've had were like Bobby, John, and Mary. Like we got to experience like this pure being that we all we kind of got to parent as
Right.
And that is our time. So we were going to move on to Mary. And Beth is going to tell us why Mary was essential / important to the show. And go, Beth.
I feel like y'all think I have an uphill battle here, just judging by your reaction earlier. But actually, Mary was the one I was hoping to get, because I was like, I am so going to win this battle if I get Mary. I may have misjudged that. But I will point out, this panel's description is that which characters are essential to the overall story or narrative of Supernatural. Y'all, if it were not for Mary Winchester, Sam and Dean would not even exist. We would not even have a show. So,
true.
Absolutely essential. Also, Mary's death at the hands of the yellow-eyed demon is what spurred John to become this absolute relentless hunter. So if Mary had not died, especially in that way, Sam and Dean probably never would have even been introduced to hunting. Again, that'd be a real lame show. It wouldn't be Supernatural, it would just be natural. And who wants to watch that? So again, another point for Mary. And of course, I mean, the Winchesters, or sorry, not the Winchesters, Mary's family, they are the hunters. She has this history of hunting. She has this connection to the world of the supernatural. So, I mean, truly, Mary and her family are the reason that Sam and Dean are able to be in this world and to be hunters and to be exposed to all of this. So I think that is absolutely essential, that her character, without her, we would not have had the entire TV show. I also like the fact that in the early seasons, most of the seasons, we're dealing with the fact that Sam and Dean have lost their mother. And then it's the later seasons when we get to see them dealing with having their mother. Most shows do it opposite. I mean, the best example I could think of was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We have these seasons where we get to see Buffy and her mom and how they interact together. And then we get to see how Buffy deals with not having her mom anymore. Supernatural's like, let's do it the opposite. Let's start out dead and then bring her back to life. But what I like about that is that we get to explore how losing their mother has affected both Sam and Dean. Because of course, Sam never really knew her. He was just a baby when she died. Whereas Dean did have memories of mom and kind of had that more personal connection to her. And we see how that relationship or lack thereof with their mother has affected their personalities and how they deal with each other, because Sam definitely has that resentment that Dean got time with mom and Sam never got to experience that. He never really got to know his mother's love until she showed back up. So then we got to explore all of that and how they wind up seeing that their mother, who they've kind of turned into this portrait of a perfect woman, over the years with their memories of her, they realize she's just as human as the rest of us and every bit as flawed. And so watching Sam and Dean having to come to terms with that their mom is not perfect, that she does have flaws and sometimes makes really, really terrible decisions. I think that's really neat to see how they explore that and how they deal with it and come to terms with it. And then also, I would say I really like the fact that it was season 12, episode 22, Who We Are. That is the episode where Dean goes into Mary's mind when she's kind of hiding in her mind inside the house in Lawrence. And Dean gives her that speech that's the I hate you, but I love you speech. And I think that was incredibly therapeutic for Dean. I think it was stuff that he had to get out there. He had to process those thoughts about his conflicted feelings about his mother. And I think that was a huge moment of character development for him to finally get all of that out and to be able to come to terms with, yeah, she's flawed, but you know what? She's my mom. I still love her anyway. So yeah, y'all, Supernatural. No Supernatural without Mary. Vote Mary Winchester.
And very nicely done. Okay, because you ended right at exactly 4 minutes. That's
Perfect.
right. Okay, so what about you guys? Yes, right here. Why was Mary essential?
Well, I mean, let's not forget that in the other world, Mary never made that deal with.
Yep.
So the fact that she made that deal and led into everything else just makes her pivotal.
Okay. We have somebody over here that had their hand up. Okay, back in.
Mary died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How she, rather than the father, what is going on? Husband is a very stark contrast. Thought out things. Like,
Okay.
You sound just like Asmodeus. I very much mean it as one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anybody care to follow Asmodeus? Anybody else got anything to say good about Mary? Yes.
Well, I remember you used to make this and this. She's like, no, I didn't. She just went off to do a hunt. She got it completely on the way home. Or make food. So she's still able to like do a little hunting outside.
Right, right. Let's pretend I made dinner and we're good with that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right here?
I actually believe in a more complicated nuanced female characters in the show as well. But also, I love how like Cass was so in love with her. And she was just like, "You're my boyfriend." I don't know.
Yeah, when you made the comment about questionable choices, that was like one of the things that came to everyone's mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing. Did somebody else over here have their hand up? Or am I imagining things? Okay, anybody else? Any Mary good thoughts? Okay. All right. We are now, bring us home, Marx. Tell us about Rowena and why she was essential to the show.
All right. I'm going to tell you why the nice, great voters out here, why Rowena deserves your votes. I would argue that Rowena McLeod is one of the more complex and fun characters in Supernatural. She started the show in season 10 as a cunning witch and ended as a hero. By the way, McLeod, obvious reference to Highlander. If you're a Highlander fan, then she's here for you. So, vote for her, please. And we also can agree that actress Ruth Connell does an amazing job bringing the character to life. She's a great personality to it, similar to Crowley's actor too, you know. So, so again, if you like redheaded people and people with accents, you should vote for her. No, anyway, as one of the most powerful witches in existence, she is definitely one of the most powerful characters of raw power. Remember when she went on a killing spree of reapers, right? You know, not anybody can do that. And she is, but her significance is beyond just that. She's very manipulative. She's very strategic. She's not just a magic tool. She's a thinker, a planner. You definitely see that Crowley was her son, right? So her insights ended up saving the characters many times. And let's not forget her relationship with Sam. You know, she had a connection with Sam. They both kind of struggled with inner demons of their own. And she took him under her wing to teach him magic, which is a pretty big sense of trust, you know, that for her. And help Sam, you know, kind of get to the next level in magic spells, you know. And, you know, even after death, she helped Sam by leaving her journals for him to find, including a resurrection spell she was working on for Mary. And to bring back Eileen, who was very important to Sam, whether you like her or not, very important to Sam. So, and Dean was a little more complicated, but Dean, didn't trust her first, but they grew a mutual respect over time. And he definitely missed her once she died. And then that's what we got to talk about. Season 15, episode 3, the rupture. Rowena chose to sacrifice her life to save the world. And that's not a small thing. Like, she's died twice by Lucifer's hands alone. And she always could trick death. This is a person who really wanted to live. Someone who's lived centuries. But she was willing to sacrifice herself to save the world. Truly heroic. That sense of family and redemption is crucial to the theme of Supernatural. So it's a great end to her arc. And then, of course, as an aftermath, she becomes Queen of Hell, who really kind of fixes a lot of their problems with demons, So, so it was great for helping out for the end of the show, really. And she also appeared on Winchester. So she just, a really fascinating character who was a little dark at times. Sorry, any victims of hers over the years. But she was funny, she was smart, and she grew to become a very powerful ally of hers, And she gave birth to Crowley, which, if you like Crowley or you've given birth to people, you should look for her.
They don't necessarily have to be demons or turn into demons, but.
All right, I end my case.
Thank you, Morris. Okay, well, just as a side note, before we start, Rowena, how many of you have seen the Dead Boy Detectives and with Rowena's character?
So good.
Or not, Bruce. Thank you. Yeah, both are words. I got. In any case, let's go. Clock is running. What have you got on Rowena? Yes.
It's hardly essential, but she brought some glamour to the show because before that, the show was flannel and trench coats and same kind of
Yes.
every day. And like even the makeup and the hair and the clothing, it's just she brought the sense of the regal glamour. Well, and attitude. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. Yes.
I also think that she's one of the authors who kind of like started the trend towards actually talking to them. They at that point they're just starting. I guess I don't want to say empathizing, but they are not just classifying all the supernatural stuff as just inherent evil, and we got to just put it all on the ground.
Yeah, that was one of my. I've talked about that for years. But yeah, okay. Back here. All right. Well, if it goes back to you, just raise your hand. Okay. Let's see. Right here and then back here.
She just brought this like fierce power to the show, but all the while being this powerful witch with just so much humor and class and ridiculousness to it. It just made it such an enjoyable experience.
In a way, it was kind of like with Crowley too, because you never knew exactly about. You think, well, she's up to something else going on. She's got some side hustle going on, and you don't really know what to expect. But it was always a surprise in there. There was somebody over here. Yes.
Rowena brought a very interesting concept to the show.
Yeah.
And all the other things. And when I looked for a backup plan,
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. She was pretty good at those plan Bs. Yes.
Well, she also brought that female, but again, another powerful female character that, had the ways you had Bobby and everybody else, but now you have this character that, backup plan. She wasn't exactly the straight and narrow, but still had that.
And not Mother of the Year. Yeah, no, you should. Yes, back here. You remembered your question. All right.
The arcs, which really is like villain, and all that sort of stuff. And I think that out of everyone, most like not scared of anyone, but I feel like Castiel had more fear in him. I just don't remember genuinely terrified.
Yeah, okay. Was there somebody else? Yes, right here.
How she handled him, like make sure that he hurt himself and felt that ball Sam went and out what to do.
Anybody else over here? Yes. I think when she was here at Con, didn't she say that for somebody? I think somebody asked her to do it at a panel, and she said, okay, and she did it.
She also would greet Mark at panels. Whenever Mark would come on stage after, she'd just go, every time, every time.
Well, the times that they were here, they've both been here, but they weren't here at the same time, so that would have been interesting. But, okay, all right, you have heard from all of our wonderful panelists. Let's give them a hand, by the way. And now you get to vote, and I need somebody from my able assistants to help me vote or help me count. See, I probably need that too, but yeah. So remember, what you're voting for is not who your favorite character is, but who you think made the best defense.
I mean, if you love Cass, please vote for him. I'm not gonna stop you.
Okay, well, the whole purpose of this is to try to get people to think about something different about the character that maybe they didn't think about before. So, first up is Bobby, and we had Gail defend